Hello, fight fans. Hello. Today I'm here with the full video recap and analysis on UFC 327. I know I said that I wouldn't, but I had to. I was there live, and it was a great atmosphere, but it was a very weird card. It was great. Fans had fun. It was a blast. It was great to be there. One of a kind, great card, top to bottom, but very very strange. And I wish you were there to witness it with me. Let's start off with the first fight. It was Charles Radke versus Francisco Prado. Uh, that fight went exactly how I thought it would. Um, they each had their moments, and whenever Charles Radke thought he was in any kind of trouble, he immediately went for the takedown and implemented his will, and he just his overall knowledge. He just has a lot more cage experience, so to speak. And Francisco Prado, he's just too young for the big time. I don't know if he'll stick around in the UFC or not, but I have a lot of Francisco Prado's very tough guy. He has a good heart, good stamina. I'm sure he'll do great somewhere else if they do cut him. If he sticks around and faces lower competition, that might be good as well. But this guy's just faced a lot of guys with experience in his short tenure here, and that's very unfortunate for him. But this fight played out exactly how I thought it would, and a pretty good way to start the card. Then we had Kevin Gastelum and Vicente Luque, and Luque looks a lot better in at middleweight. I guess that weight cut down to to welterweight, sorry, was affecting him, and he looked fresher. Kevin Gastelum got some shots in, but yeah, it messed up my best bet. I thought this fight would go a little longer, to be honest with you. I didn't see this ending in the first round, but Luque found the chance, had him on the floor, and took advantage and subbed him. I think he was the first man to stop Kevin Gastelum at middleweight. He's been beaten, but never stopped. I don't think so. I think this is the first time he's ever been stopped. So props to Luque. Props to Luque, and he came game ready, came hungry, and he delivered. All right. So far up to that point, I was feeling myself. But that took a turn. The next fight was interesting. It was Chris Padilla versus Markel Medeiros. Watching it live there, it was very unfortunate because it looked to me like Medeiros was winning the fight. After the fight, they showed the total strikes, and it was shocking to see that Chris Padilla had actually outstruck Medeiros, because it really didn't look like it there. I guess Chris was hurt. It's when you're at the arena watching it live, it's different than seeing it somewhere else. So, there it looked like Medeiros was winning the fight to me. Up until that unfortunate eye poke that it took a point away. But yeah, when I saw the total strikes by Chris, I was a little shocked. But I guess those strikes came when they're up against the cage. Chris Medeiros was putting him up against the cage and just letting punches go there. Which, granted, I don't think they were hurting him, because Markel's looked fresh. He didn't look like he was hurt at all. Yeah, he just needed to get out the cage a little more in the first round. But pretty good strike overall. Both guys going back and forth, and yeah, they originally gave Chris the win, but then a couple fights after, I guess the guy next to me, said something about they had overturned the fight, and they didn't say nothing in the arena, so I didn't know. But it was overturned to a majority draw. And that's unfortunate, because that eye poke point that they took away from Medeiros, he would have won the fight. He would have won the fight, and I would have been 3-0 at that point. But yeah, it's a draw, so that's neither a win or a loss. We'll just take that off of there. But it did go the full 3 rounds, and these guys both came ready to fight, and it was a good little war back and forth. All right, that was it for the early prelims. So to start off the regular prelims, we had Tatiana Suarez and Lupi Godinez. And yeah, Lupi Godinez, she was not ready. She was not ready. Tatiana came in with her wrestling background and just showed her that she's levels above her. I thought that Lupi would. I'm a little disappointed because the few times that Lupi has lost, it's been this way. It's been just getting out wrestled. So I figured she would change it up a little bit and be prepared because you know what's coming. You knew what she's gonna do, and you know how you lose. So the fact that Tatiana, when it started off, I mean, it was the beginning of the fight was pretty good. Lupi was throwing her 1-2s and getting her licks in, and then Tatiana just took over. Once the wrestling started, it was a wrap. There was this levels to this, and Lupi was, I don't know if they didn't train right, or she just showed that she was just levels above her, and yeah, the record speaks for itself. So she got the tap, unfortunately, but didn't make it to the second round. So the best bet was there. All right, next we had Mateusz Gamrot versus Esteban Ribovic, and yeah, this is another one, man. It was on the feet. If this fight would have stayed on the feet, it would have been so interesting because Ribovic, man, he throws to kill. He doesn't. There's no shame in this guy's game. He's there to take your head off, and Mateusz Gamrot wanted no part of that. He wanted no part of that. He took him down and almost submitted him in round 1, and then he finally submitted him in round 2 because, it was just going to be the same thing over and over again. Or if not, he was going to drag it out to the third round. But Esteban was not as experienced on the ground. But I thought he would keep it standing and find a shot early, and he just didn't. He got out wrestled. Mateusz Gamrot. These two fights are kind of the same. The two that ended up losing are pretty good strikers that come to fight, and the other two just they're more well-rounded, so to speak. So yeah, this is MMA. This is MMA. If you're a striker, there's gonna be grapplers trying to take you down, and you gotta be prepared. So I was wrong on these two. I thought that these the two that came out on the losing end would empower their striking, but I guess not. I guess the other two came with their wrestling prepared and really took over. The next fight, should have been on the main card and swapped out for another card that was on the main card that should have been on the prelims, and we'll get to that later. But these two guys, Kevin Holland and Randy Brown, this was a great fight. Overall, the walk-in from both guys, the level of MMA. These are two veterans, and it showed that these guys they come battle prepared. These two came to scrap. Kevin Holland was impressive, man. Randy Brown too. They showed that he's been training. He didn't. You could tell that he was a little salty from the last his last performance, which was a main event. A lot of people were disappointed that he got out in the first round, and he put on a show yesterday. Him and Kevin Holland really put on a show. I don't know how Randy Brown didn't tap. Kevin Holland, there was a point where he had him on the ground, and I knew this would happen. I had that sub I had Kevin Holland by sub, and Randy Brown just didn't tap. I don't know if I gotta rewatch it, but from the arena, it looked like he had him. He had him in the, he had him really good, and Randy Brown was flaring his legs, and I guess that would give him some space. And then Kevin Holland, he wrapped his legs. So once he wrapped his legs, I was like, that's it, it's over. there's no getting out of here. Randy Brown is done, and he just didn't tap. He didn't tap. He got out, and the war continued. But these three guys put on a hell of a fight. Great performance by both. Props to Randy Brown for showing your toughness, dude. Very proud of him. So, yeah, Kevin Holland got the win by decision, and great fight by both guys here. Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. This fight went the distance. It was kind of back and forth between both guys had their moments. Let me tell you something about Aaron Pico. The guy's good, but if he's gonna start fighting guys that are ranked, guys once you start fighting the top 15 type of guys, he better work on his hand game. He does not have hands like I thought he did. He better work on throwing some combinations, getting something that's gonna get these guys respect, because a lot of people were talking there yesterday live, and he just doesn't have the hands to be at the upper echelon level of the UFC. There's a certain amount. I mean, if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, if you're primarily, a wrestler, you need to incorporate some kind of boxing. And this guy just, I don't know if he's afraid to throw most of the time, or he just doesn't have the skills, or it just looked like, it didn't look like he was well put together yesterday. If he was, put it this way, if he was facing somebody in the top 15, I don't think he would have got the win. Let's just say that. But he was facing Pitbull, Patricio Pitbull, 10 years older than him. And he got the win. Props to him. It started off really boring, but as the fight went on, it got better and better. So it was okay. It was an okay performance. Yeah, like I said, Kevin Holland and Randy Brown to that point had really stolen the show. So, this fight pretty much went the way I thought it would. I just didn't think Pitbull would hang around there to the end. I thought Aaron Pico would. I thought he had better hands, and he would get him out of there, but he didn't. So, yeah. So there you go. The prelims. It's pretty good. Pretty good overall. And then that led to the main card. The main card, once 45 and 47 sat down, it was time to go. And open up a Cub Swanson and Nate Landwehr. Cub Swanson, what a way to go out. Guy's a stud. Legendary career. Thank you so much for everything you did. This guy was a highlight. His whole career is a highlight, Can't believe he came back after a year and he just looked great. He just, man. And that was, I think I said that. I said that he would come out and either wreck him or it will be a war between these two guys. And Nate Landwehr just never got off yesterday. It was too much Cub Swanson. I guess the year off, he looked fresher than ever, man. You could never tell that he's the age that he is. He looked just as fast as he did when he was a young up and coming Cub Swanson, man. He was really quick. He just took it to him. What a way to go out. This is the way to hang your gloves with your family there. in the Magic City with the president there. Just put on a show. Put on a show, and just didn't give Nate Landwehr the opportunity to even make it a fight. You know, it was Cub Swanson, and he wanted to go out on top, and he sure did. What a way to start the card. Then we had, oh boy, yeah, this is a big snoozer. Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker has to be the biggest disappointment that I've ever seen live, ladies and gentlemen. This fight could have easily been in the prelims, and Kevin Holland and Randy Brown should have been here. That would have been a good swap, because this fight, I tell you, people were booing. If the fight was 15 minutes, I say people were booing. No lie. This is no lie. The fans, I'm talking about the whole entire arena, was booing, I would say, about 10 minutes of the 15 minutes. And that's each round. Each round there was boos. People got up to get beer. Buy popcorn, go talk on the phone, whatever you gotta do. This was the time. People were just, after the first round, they just had no hope that anything was gonna happen here. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. This was like Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis. But at least those two guys, you would, we were just waiting for somebody to land, and just, there were probably more punches thrown here, but it was more boring, if that's even impossible. Because Francis and Derek, we were just in awe that nobody was throwing fights, and everybody was just holding their breath, because these guys, at any moment, somebody could just land one. And the same thing here, but these are light heavyweights, and it was just a lot of talk before the event, especially by Johnny Walker, that he's not going to leave it up to the judges, that he's going to come end them, because these judges, you never know. And now we know. Now we know that never trust Johnny Walker. And Dominic Reyes he came game, but you need two to tango. He didn't want to lead the dance either. None of these guys wanted to lead the dance, because they were afraid of the other one's counter, and it was just a boring fight. Not much output. Can't really say anything. The highlight of this fight was the crowd booing, and a lot of chants. Let's just say it that way. A lot of chants from the crowd. It was a disgrace. I'm sure Dana White's not happy. I'm sure McMahon, Sean Shelby, all of these guys are not happy for putting this fight here. You had your chance there in front of the president, and they wet the bed. Both of these guys, I don't know what's next. There was no post-fight interview. He won by decision. They just, there was no interview. It was bad. It's just a bad look. But the next fight, Curtis Blaydes and Josh Hockett, folks, I tell you, this is a fight of the year nominee for sure. I haven't looked yet, but this has to be the fight of the night. It just has to be. These guys threw for them and the fight before. All right? The punches that Dominic Reyes and Johnny Walker did not accumulate, Blaydes and Josh Hockett made up for them. Round one alone was a war. I don't know how Curtis Blaydes did not get finished. He hung in there. Kudos to Blaydes. He's a lot tougher than I thought he is. These and Josh Hockett, for all the crap that he talked all week, almost sexual assaulting the ring girls at the weigh-in. This guy's just a loose cannon, but he backed it up. All the crap he talks, the guy is really good, man. The guy is really good for a heavyweight with not much experience. This guy seems like the real deal. He just put on a show. He is a showman. All right, he's gonna put on a show whenever the camera's on him. This guy's just just as good as advertised. I've never seen anything like it. He's like Nate Diaz at heavyweight. It's just the way he fights is like Nate Diaz at heavyweight. That's what I got from it yesterday by seeing him live. The guy has a tank. I mean, him and Curtis. I'm so proud of these guys just because, just the output alone. Let's see what it says here. Significant strikes. 151 to 164. Body 17, body 13. Jeez, these guys put on a pace, man. Incredible. I have I didn't see this going to decision, and if I did, I thought it'd be Curtis taking down Josh Hawkins and doing the minute winning by just taking him down and just holding him, but it was none of that, man. These guys were back and forth, and there was a time where Curtis rocked Josh, and Josh he would come back and give him the middle finger and keep throwing blows. And man, for two heavyweights, this is probably one of the best heavyweight fights that I've seen all time, and I did not expect this. I didn't think it would go this way, to be honest with you. I thought the beginning would go the way it did. Josh Hawkins just unloading on Curtis, and he definitely stole round one. He almost ended him. And Curtis just hung in there, came back. It was a total war. Really proud of both of these guys. I thought there was a point there where Curtis Blades almost stole the fight. And Josh Hawkins showed hard. He showed hard. He showed that he can hang in there and entertaining while he's fighting as well. This guy's just a total all-around entertainer. Can't deny him anymore. He's the real deal, folks. He's the real deal. And we'll see what's next for Josh Hooker, but I'm excited. This guy had everybody in the arena super excited. And this is definitely probably the fight of the year so far. All right, next we had our co-main event. Osmat Mirzakhanov versus Paulo Costa. And yeah, the professional got erased. Props to Costa. I didn't see this coming at all. I thought there was no way he'd win this fight. Osmat, he just looked more. He looked more focused. He was getting the best out of him. When they would have these exchanges, Osmat at the end would come and rock Paulo, and then that would stop the exchanges. So the dude's definitely powerful. But yeah, Paulo started off with some leg kicks that were lethal. Really, really good leg kicks to Osman, and every time he landed, you could tell they hurted him. You could tell they hurted him because he stayed away. He kept switching, and Paulo kind of did like John Jones did to DC. He was peppering him with the low kicks, and to the third round, he finally got him with the high kick. He was hitting low, and Osman, I guess, was expecting another low kick, and once your leg gets compromised, you're kind of hesitant. And yeah, he went up high and got him, and yeah, the Secret Juice, good for him, man. It was an interesting fight. It was an interesting fight up until that point. I don't know how the judges had it, but yeah, he did his thing. He did what he had to do, and of course he called out Hamzat. So I really want to see that fight, even though I don't think it's gonna happen. But I would really love to see that fight. Yeah, I think he better work on his takedown defense if that fight ever happened. But it would be good. Just because, Paulo Costa's a little more well-rounded than he seems. The guy has ground game. He just likes to strike. He's a striker. And And yeah, Osman gets his first loss ever. So we'll see how he comes back from this. We'll see how. Hopefully, he comes back and I can get back to the top again. I really like seeing this guy fight. And then next is the main event: Yuri Prohaska versus Carlos Ulberg. Can you guys let me know why Carlos Ulberg is so hated? Was it just the fans overall? I don't know. I don't know what this guy did to everybody, or was it just that everybody was for Yuri? I mean, all from the press conference to the weigh-ins to the actual event, it was like Carlos Ulberg was getting booed the whole week, and Yuri was just getting loved, and it was just constant love for Yuri, and all the fans from Czech Republic were here, and it was just like a big chant for Yuri all the time, and every time Carlos Ulberg spoke, it was like boos everywhere, and he you know it didn't affect him. He was like, okay, whatever. So, you know, everybody was hyped for this fight, and this fight was it was weird because Yuri he had him compromised. He he started with the leg kicks, and he it looks like he learned from Alex Pereira, man. Those leg kicks they can be really really effective, and you know, it was pretty good exchanges once these guys started landing. There was a little feel out at first, and then they just exchange it, and Yuri looked better well rounded. He looked like he was ready. He came with the low kicks and just compromised Carlos Ulberg's leg, and for some reason he just didn't keep attacking. Carlos Ulberg, there was a point there where, you know, he threw a punch, and then I think it was a check hook that he threw. And yeah, I guess his leg was so compromised that he stumbled back. Later we found out that he blew out his MCL, or tore his MCL or whatever. His knee was compromised. Put it that way. And when your opponent's knee is compromised, or leg is compromised, or any body part, you attack it. That's when Yuri didn't do that. He showed mercy, and he ended up paying the ultimate price for it. He knew that he was compromised. Any other fighter would have just taken advantage of the situation. All it would have taken was one more leg kick. That's all he had to do. But no, he came in rushing, kind of like now that I think about it, man, this is the exact same finish as Pereira and Israel when Izzy got his fight. Another Sick City kickboxing guy got his win against Pereira, his get-back win. He rope-a-dope. I remember Izzy was rope-a-doping there and probably pretending to be hurt, and Alex was just going for the kill, thinking that Izzy was hurt. He was just going for the kill with reckless abandon, and he got caught. And I guess Yuri thought that Carlos Ulberg was he was compromised, but I guess Yuri, I don't know what he was thinking. Yuri just doesn't think. And this is why I tell you guys, you need to have sparring partners. You can't just train by yourself. You gotta spar with people because of situations like this. I guess he just thought that Carlos Ulberg was too compromised to strike, and Ulberg showed that he just won't be denied. He did have a bad leg, but it wasn't. He was down, but he wasn't out. And Yuri found out the hard way, and now Carlos is just the undisputed with 10 in a row, And yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. That was it. So overall, I think I went 7-4-1. Some unfortunate situations there, of course, and 50% on the best bets, man. That was I'm not proud of that. Not good. We'll make up for it next week, definitely. It was just a weird card. It was a great card, competition wise, but just a lot of weird events, weird endings. The Dominic Reyes, Johnny Walker, it was super weird. Um, yeah, man, I'm disappointed in some fighters here, but overall, it was a pretty good event, good matchmaking. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I wasn't gonna do this show, but I just had to. I had so much on my mind, and I just had to let it off. See what you guys think. Let me know. Feel free to like and subscribe.